Hey Alden, do you need anything? Jennifer's voice carried from the kitchen, cheerful, almost too cheerful. It had been like that for a while, forced smiles, hollow greetings. I looked at the motorcycle engine I was working on and pretended not to notice the way her voice made my skin crawl now. No, I'm good, I called back, keeping my voice steady. I was in the garage, my haven. The smell of oil and metal filled the air as I ran a cloth over the engine. I liked working with my hands. It gave me a sense of control, something I hadn't felt in my marriage for a long time. Jennifer and I had been drifting for months, but after 28 years together, I figured it was just the natural course. People change, right? You don't stay the same as when you first met. Lisa was home for the weekend. She'd been busy with her career, traveling often, so we hadn't seen much of her lately. There was something comforting about her being back in the house, even if things with Jennifer felt off. I thought having Lisa around might bring some normalcy. I wiped the grease from my hands and took a sip from the water bottle I'd left on the workbench. The garage door was half open, letting in the warm afternoon air. From my spot, I could hear the faint clink of dishes as Jennifer and Lisa moved around the kitchen, their voices mingling as they chatted. I leaned against the motorcycle, listening to the soft murmur of their conversation. It was a rare moment of peace, something I'd come to treasure. Mom, do you need me to chop these? Lisa asked. Yeah, thanks, sweetheart. And can you pass me the olive oil? Jennifer replied. Normal. It all sounded so normal. As I tightened a bolt on the engine, my thoughts wandered. Had I been missing something all along? Jennifer had been distant, sure, but I thought we'd find our way back to each other eventually. We always had before. I hadn't wanted to admit that something felt wrong for a long time. Maybe I was just getting older, losing my edge. Lisa's laughter floated into the garage, light and carefree. It felt good to have her around, to hear that laugh again, even if it didn't fill the void I was feeling with Jennifer. I sighed, grabbing another tool and crouching down next to the bike. That's when I caught it. Jennifer's voice, lower now, conspiratorial. You know, honey, I've been seeing someone. I froze. My hand, mid-air with the wrench, hovered over the engine. What? I wasn't going to tell you yet, Jennifer continued, her voice hushed but clear. But he's amazing. So different from your dad. A real man. My heart stopped. I didn't dare move. I could barely breathe as I tried to process what she was saying. A real man? Who the hell is she talking about? What do you mean, different from Dad? Lisa asked, her voice still casual, like they were discussing the weather. Jennifer chuckled, a soft, bitter sound. Your dad, he's just not. Well, let's just say he's nothing compared to the man I'm with now. He's strong, confident, and oh my God, the things he can do in bed. My lover is such an alpha male, nothing compared to your loser dad. I felt a burning in my chest, anger rising, but I couldn't move. This has to be some kind of mistake. I told myself over and over. Jennifer wouldn't. And honey, the best part? He can go 12 times a night without a pause, Jennifer added with a laugh. He satisfies me well, in every ways your father never could. I clenched the wrench in my hand, feeling the metal bite into my skin. 12 times? Is this a joke? You're joking, right? Lisa asked, though her tone sounded more intrigued than shocked. That's insane. It's true, Jennifer said, her voice dripping with pride. And I'm going to divorce your dad. He doesn't know it yet, but I'm taking the house, the money, everything. We'll be free. You can live with us, and you'll finally meet him. There was a pause, the clink of dishes stopping for a moment. Thanks, Mom, Lisa replied, sounding almost amused. That sounds great. I'd love to meet him. I stood there, stunned. Divorce. The house. Everything. It all hit me like a truck, and suddenly, it wasn't just about the affair. It was about everything I had worked for, everything I had built for them. Maybe we can all go on a trip together, Lisa joked, her voice light and carefree. Jennifer laughed. Oh, trust me, honey, after we're done, your dad won't even know what hit him. He's so clueless sometimes. I couldn't listen anymore. My fists were clenched so tightly that my nails dug into my palms. My vision blurred with anger as I stormed through the garage and into the house, barely registering the creak of the door as it slammed behind me. The kitchen, where my wife and daughter had been so casually plotting my demise, was only a few steps away, and I covered that distance in seconds. When I entered the kitchen, their laughter died instantly, as if someone had flicked a switch. Both of them froze. Jennifer, my wife of 28 years, stood there holding a knife she had been using to chop vegetables, her face a mask of shock. Lisa, our daughter, was leaning against the counter, her expression just as stunned. They hadn't expected to be caught, and now the reality of the situation was written all over their faces. "Dad," Lisa began, her voice shaky, trying to regain control of the situation. "It's not what you think. Not what I think." I cut her off, my voice barely above a growl. "So, what part of this am I misunderstanding? The part where your mother is sleeping with another man? Or the part where she's planning to take everything I've worked for?" Lisa's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water, but no words came out. Jennifer stepped forward cautiously, like she was approaching a wild animal. "Alden, let's talk about this. It's not like that. You don't understand. Don't you dare." I snapped, pointing at her, my voice rising. "Don't you dare try to spin this into something else. I heard everything." The silence that followed was suffocating, thick with the weight of betrayal. Jennifer swallowed hard, her hands trembling as she set the knife down on the counter. "I was going to tell you, Alden, I didn't know how." "You didn't know how?" I repeated, incredulous. "So, instead of coming to me, your husband, you decide to share your dirty little secret with our daughter? Plan my financial ruin behind my back? That's what you call figuring it out?" Jennifer looked down at her feet, unable to meet my eyes. Lisa, meanwhile, shifted uncomfortably, her arms crossed over her chest. She was clearly trying to distance herself from the confrontation, as if she hadn't just been complicit in this betrayal. "Dad," Lisa finally said, her voice soft, "Mom didn't mean for it to happen like this. She's been unhappy for a long time." I let out a bitter laugh, shaking my head. "Unhappy? So, this is how she handles it? By cheating on me? By planning to take the house and money and leave me with nothing? And you're just okay with this?" Lisa bit her lip, avoiding my gaze. "It's not that simple, Dad. You haven't been around. You're always at work or in the garage. And Mom, well, she needed someone." My heart pounded in my chest. The audacity of it all. "So, because I work hard to provide for this family, that gives her the right to betray me? That makes it okay for her to tear our family apart?" "Alden, it's not like that," Jennifer said again, stepping closer. "I never meant for this to hurt you. Stop lying," I shouted, slamming my fist on the counter. The sound echoed in the room, and both of them flinched. "You were going to take everything, and you didn't care how it would affect me." Jennifer's face crumpled. "I was going to leave you with something. I wasn't going to take it all." I let out a hollow laugh, the bitterness filling the air. "Something? You were going to leave me with something? After 28 years, that's what you think I deserve? A scrap? And you expect me to be grateful for that?" Tears welled up in Jennifer's eyes, but I wasn't moved. Not anymore. Not after what I had heard. She tried to take a step closer, reaching out to me, but I pulled away, the distance between us growing with every word she spoke. "Alden, please, we can work something out. I don't want it to end like this," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Work something out?" I scoffed. "It's too late for that. You made your choice, Jennifer." "And you, Lisa," I said, turning to my daughter, my voice laced with anger and disappointment. "You were going to stand by her side. Let her do this to me? After everything I've done for you?" Lisa looked down at the floor, guilt creeping onto her face. I didn't know it would go this far." "But you didn't stop it, did you?" I shot back, my voice harsh. "You were happy to let it happen." The silence that followed was unbearable. Jennifer's tears flowed freely now, but I couldn't find it in myself to feel sorry for her. She had made her bed, and now she would have to lie in it. "You want the house? The money?" I said, my voice cold. "Phoenix, take it. But know this. You've lost something far more important today. You've lost me." Jennifer's sobs grew louder, but I turned my back on her, unwilling to listen to her apologies. Lisa stood there, silent, her face pale as she watched the destruction unfold. I looked at them and said, "You think this is over? You think you've won?" I said, my voice low and menacing. You've only just begun to see what I'm capable of. There was no reasoning with them. I could see it in their faces. The guilt wasn't for what they had done. It was because they had been caught. Jennifer's words, alpha male, echoed in my mind, mocking me. Every late night I'd worked, every sacrifice I made, every vacation I saved for, it all meant nothing. The home we built together, the life we shared, it was hollow. They had reduced it all to a joke, and I was the punchline. I stood in the kitchen, the silence between us so thick it was suffocating. Lisa was still in shock, her face pale, while Jennifer's expression flickered between fear and indignation. They thought this was a game, that I'd be angry for a while and eventually come around. They were wrong. You want the house? The money? My voice was so calm, it startled them both. Inside, though, I was trembling, rage coursing through my veins. You won't get a damn thing. Jennifer's face twisted in confusion. Alden, please, we can talk about this. Her voice softened, as if she could negotiate her way out of this. You're being unreasonable. I stared at her, the coldness in my gaze freezing her words. No, I said, my voice steady. I'm being more reasonable than you deserve. With that, I turned and walked out of the kitchen. Behind me, I could hear Jennifer's breath hitching, as though she was just beginning to understand what was coming. Lisa stood by, silent, unsure of what to say. I headed straight to my office. The desk drawer slid open smoothly, and I pulled out a folder. It contained all of our financial documents, the ones I had handled for years. Jennifer had always trusted me with the money. That was her first mistake. My fingers tapped across the keyboard as I accessed our joint accounts. Years of saving and planning, investments I had made for our future. With a few keystrokes, I drained every cent from the accounts, funneling the money into one I had set up months ago, a precaution I never thought I'd need. Alden, what are you doing? Jennifer's voice called from behind me, but I ignored her. The sound of my phone buzzing broke the tension in the air. I looked down at the screen. The first notification came in, confirmation that the funds had been transferred successfully. The second one followed swiftly. Jennifer's personal account was empty too. She rushed forward, trying to peer over my shoulder, her breath quickening as she realized what I'd done. No! Alden, no! She cried out, panic lacing her voice. I stood up, turning to face her. You think you can take the house, the money? You think you can just leave me with nothing? Alden, please, she pleaded, her hands reaching out to me as if that would stop me from carrying out the destruction she deserved. We can figure this out. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. I shook my head, walking past her. There's nothing left to fix. I headed upstairs next, our bedroom, the place where I had slept for years beside a woman who had been planning my downfall. Felt foreign now. I pulled open the closet doors, my eyes scanning the racks of designer clothes I had bought her over the years. The expensive handbags, the shoes, symbols of the life I had given her. Without a second thought, I grabbed armfuls of them, tossing them down the stairs. It wasn't just about the things. It was about what they represented. Jennifer was behind me now, her voice rising in panic as she watched her life being dismantled in front of her. Alden, stop. You don't have to do this. We can talk about this. But there was no talking left to do. I didn't need to shout or rage. The cold, calculated steps I was taking were far more effective. I grabbed the jewelry box from her dresser next, the diamonds and gold spilling out as I threw it onto the growing pile of luxury items at the foot of the stairs. I moved with purpose, heading out to the backyard. The fire pit we'd used for cozy evenings together now had a different purpose. I poured gasoline over the pile of clothes and trinkets, the acrid smell filling the air. Jennifer rushed out behind me, her face white with horror. Oh, no, please, don't do this, she screamed, tears streaming down her face now as she watched the match I held in my hand. I looked at her one last time, the woman I had loved for 3 decades, the woman who had betrayed me in the worst possible way. Then, without a word, I flicked the match onto the pile. The flames erupted instantly, devouring the fabric and jewelry with an intensity that mirrored the fury burning inside me. Jennifer fell to her knees, sobbing as she watched her prized possessions turn to ash. Alden, please. I'm begging you. Her desperation did nothing to soften my heart. You wanted everything, Jennifer. Well, now you've got nothing. I turned and walked past her, not bothering to look back. Inside the house, Lisa sat in the living room, her face pale, her eyes wide with realization. She wasn't crying like her mother. No, she looked scared, like she finally understood the consequences of siding with betrayal. Dad, she started, her voice small. I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't know. I stopped in front of her, my gaze cold and unyielding. You knew exactly what was happening. You encouraged it. Lisa's mouth opened, but no words came out. She could see that there was no mercy left in me, no forgiveness. You guys can get the fuck out of my house now, I said, my voice firm. Both of you. Where are we supposed to go? Lisa asked, her voice trembling now, the weight of the situation finally hitting her. I don't care, I replied bluntly. But you're not staying here. Jennifer stumbled into the room, her face streaked with tears. Alden, we have nowhere to go. We can fix this. Please. I shook my head slowly. You made your choice. With that, I turned away from them for the last time. They had nothing now. No money, no house, and no future with me. They thought they had won, but they underestimated what I was capable of when pushed to the edge. This was my revenge. The morning sun peeked through the blinds as I sat at the kitchen table. The house is quiet. The weight of yesterday's events still hung in the air, but today, things needed to move forward. Jennifer and Lisa had spent the night in a hotel after being kicked out, leaving me alone for the first time in years. The silence was a relief, a kind of strange calm after the storm. I pushed myself away from the table and headed toward the garage, where Jennifer's car sat gleaming in the driveway. It was the last big gift I had given her, a lavish anniversary present. That anniversary felt like a lifetime ago. Without hesitation, I grabbed my phone and dialed the number of a dealership. Yeah, I've got a car I'm looking to sell, I said when the sales rep picked up. Come by this afternoon. Bring cash. By noon, a dealership rep arrived, and I handed over the keys in exchange for a wad of cash. The rep barely asked any questions. He didn't care about the why, just the transaction. I watched him drive off, taking a piece of my past with him. The satisfaction of seeing that car disappear was surprisingly hollow, but it was a necessary step. I stepped back inside, ready to move on to the next task. The joint accounts. Sitting at my desk, I logged into our online banking. Jennifer had trusted me with all our finances, never bothering to check, and that was about to work in my favor. A few clicks, and I had transferred nearly everything into an account under my name. I left just enough to cover their expenses for a couple of weeks, enough to keep them afloat while they figured out what to do next. After that, they were on their own. It wasn't about vengeance at this point. It was about making sure they understood that they no longer had any power over me. They could beg, plead, and cry, but it would fall on deaf ears. I was done being the fool. That evening, Jennifer and Lisa showed up at the house, the desperation already showing on their faces. I heard them knock, and I opened the door, but I didn't invite them in. Alden, Jennifer said softly, her eyes swollen and red from crying. We need to talk. We talked yesterday, I replied coldly. What more is there to say? Please, Lisa chimed in, her voice shaky. We don't have anywhere to go. I crossed my arms and leaned against the doorframe, looking at them with the same cold detachment I had felt the day before. You made your bed. Now you lie in it. We'll be homeless, Alden. We don't have anything left, Jennifer said, her voice breaking as she spoke. That's not my problem anymore, I replied. You had everything, and you threw it away. Now you get nothing. Lisa looked at me, her face etched with disbelief. But Dad, I'm your daughter. I stared at her, the pain she had caused bubbling up inside me. You chose to side with your mother. You encouraged her. You betrayed me just as much as she did. There was a long, uncomfortable silence. Jennifer wiped her eyes, her voice barely a whisper now. We don't have any money. We don't have anywhere to go. I looked between the two of them, knowing full well they expected me to fold, to feel sorry for them. But I couldn't. Not after everything. I shook my head slowly. You'll figure it out. You always do, right? Without another word, I stepped back inside and shut the door in their faces. I could hear Jennifer's muffled sobs through the door, but I didn't open it again. I walked away, feeling an odd sense of closure as the noise outside slowly faded into nothing. This was the price of betrayal. The days passed, and true to their desperation, Jennifer tried to lean on her lover. She and Lisa packed up whatever they could salvage and went to stay with him. At first, they thought they had a new life waiting for them, a fresh start. But when the money dried up, so did his affection. I wasn't surprised when, within a week, Jennifer called me, sobbing about how he had kicked them out, how they were back to square one, homeless, broke, and abandoned. I didn't answer her calls. She left voicemails, each one more desperate than the last, but I never listened to them. It was over. I had done what I needed to do, and there was no turning back. Meanwhile, I focused on rebuilding my life, piece by piece. I sold the house and moved somewhere new, somewhere that didn't carry the weight of betrayal in every room. I cut off all contact with Jennifer and Lisa. They had made their choices, and now they had to live with the consequences. There were dark nights, though, when the anger and hurt would creep back in. I would sit alone in my new place, the quiet almost unbearable. I would replay the betrayal in my head, the words Jennifer had spoken to Lisa about her lover, the casual cruelty of it all. But I refused to let those thoughts consume me. They didn't deserve that power over me anymore. As for Jennifer and Lisa, word eventually got back to me that they were struggling. They tried to find help, but without money or resources, they were left to fend for themselves. Lisa had cut ties with her mother's lover, realizing too late that he never cared about her. They moved from one temporary place to another, scraping by however they could. It wasn't the life they had envisioned, but it was the one they had created for themselves. I didn't take any joy in their downfall. It wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake. It was about reclaiming my life, about no longer being the victim of their deceit. They got exactly what they deserved, and I got my freedom, and for the first time in a long time, that was enough. Months passed in relative peace. My new life was quieter, simpler, and, despite the scars left behind by betrayal, I had started to enjoy the solitude. The past felt like a distant memory, a chapter one had closed forever. I had no intention of reopening it, not for Jennifer, and certainly not for Lisa. One rainy afternoon, I returned home after a long day, drenched and tired. A small stack of mail sat on the kitchen counter, nothing unusual. I sifted through bills and advertisements until my hand paused on a plain white envelope. No return address, just my name, written in a shaky hand that I recognized immediately, Lisa's. I stood there, staring at the envelope, my fingers gripping the paper too tightly. Part of me wanted to tear it to pieces, throw it into the trash where it belonged, but something made me hesitate. Slowly, I sat down at the table and opened the letter, the rain tapping against the window like a reminder of the chaos I had tried so hard to leave behind. Dear Dad, I know I'm the last person you want to hear from, and I don't blame you for that. But please, if you could, just read this. I need you to know that I've been trying to make things right. I've been working odd jobs, staying with friends, doing whatever I can to get back on my feet. I've made mistakes, but I never meant to hurt you. I was wrong. So wrong. And I see that now. Mom and I are barely in contact anymore. She's living with some distant relative. I don't know where she'll end up, but I need to take responsibility for my own actions. I don't expect your forgiveness, but I would like to meet. Just once, so I can apologize properly. I'm sorry, Dad. Love, Lisa. I read the letter again, my mind reeling. Lisa apologizing? After everything? It felt surreal. Part of me wanted to believe her, but another part, the part that still felt the sting of her betrayal, wanted to slam the door on this attempt to reconcile. I set the letter down on the table, unsure of how to process it. The next day, the letter was still there, staring back at me like a challenge. I tried to ignore it, going about my day as usual, but my mind kept drifting back. What if she was sincere? What if this was her way of trying to fix things, to mend the damage she had caused? But then again, what if it was just another manipulation? By the end of the week, I made a decision. I would meet her once, Not because I wanted to forgive her, but because I needed to hear it from her own mouth. I needed to look her in the eye and see if she had truly changed. If she hadn't, I could walk away for good, knowing I had done my part. I called the number she had included in the letter and arranged a meeting. We agreed to meet at a quiet cafe downtown. When the day arrived, I walked in with my guard up, scanning the room until I spotted her sitting at a corner table. She looked different, thinner, her hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. There was a tiredness in her eyes I hadn't seen before. As I approached the table, Lisa stood up, fidgeting nervously. "Dad," she said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. I nodded, but didn't say anything. I sat down across from her, folding my hands on the table. She sat down slowly, avoiding eye contact for a few seconds before finally meeting my gaze. "I'm glad you came," she said, her voice shaking slightly. I didn't respond right away, letting the tension sit between us. "So," I said finally, "you wanted to apologize?" Lisa took a deep breath. "Yes. I know there's nothing I can say to undo what I did. I was selfish, and I betrayed you in the worst way possible. I didn't see it at the time, but now, every day I regret what I did. I regret how I hurt you, how I let Mom manipulate me." I stared at her, searching her face for any sign of deceit. "You encouraged her, Lisa. You were part of it. You laughed about it." She winced, tears welling up in her eyes. "I know," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I was stupid, and I was wrong. I thought I was doing what was best for me, but I didn't see how much I was hurting you. She broke off, wiping her eyes. "I lost everything because of it. You. Mom. I have nothing now." I took a deep breath, feeling the anger simmering beneath the surface. "What do you want from me, Lisa?" She shook her head quickly. "I don't want anything. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I needed to say it to your face. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try." There was a long pause as I sat there, weighing her words. The hurt was still there, but so was something else, something that had been buried beneath my anger. For a brief moment, I saw the little girl I had raised, not the woman who had betrayed me. I sighed, leaning back in my chair. "I'm not sure if I can ever forgive you, Lisa. What you and your mother did, it broke something inside me, and I'm still trying to figure out how to fix it." Lisa nodded, her face crumpling as she struggled to hold back tears. "I understand," she whispered. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'll never stop being sorry." I stood up, pushing my chair back. "Take care of yourself, Lisa." And with that, I walked out of the cafe, leaving her behind. Whether I had made the right choice or not, only time would tell. But for now, I wasn't ready to let her back in. Some wounds take longer to heal.